Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jane. In this video, we already have confirmation that a rules change is imminent, and we know that we're going to get changes to the strength of schedule, possibly moving to something like MOV. Those things are confirmed, and I'll reveal why we know that's happening in a moment. But then it got me thinking, well, it's been about 6 months since we actually had point changes on the cards, and a bit of me was like, yeah, obviously they will be. Then I realised there's one simple reason why that's not the case, and we can't expect that probably for another couple of months yet. If at the end of this video you like the video, press like, and if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel and you're interested in Star Wars, please do subscribe. That sort of like sounds like an infomercial. Side effects may include headaches, diarrhea, and flaccid products. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, so let's have a look at what we're talking about today. Right, so this was posted by Luke Eddy, who is on the Discord. And then I think LJ or somebody's posted it on, Facebook, etc. But we'll just read it as it says. Also, regarding the rules updates, an update to the rules reference guide is imminent, to no one's surprise, though I personally don't know the exact day it's going to drop. Just a heads up though, the changes to the tournament tiebreakers, i.e. strength of schedule or MOV, which is margin of victory for those of you who don't know. Well, strength of schedule, SOS is strength of schedule, which is basically who your opponents play, and MOV is how badly did you beat your opponents in terms of points, margin of victory in terms of points. So that sort of implies that's what it's going to go to MOV rather than an alternative method, which I'll talk about again in a second. And using miniature silhouettes, so this was talking about true line of sight, and I'm not particularly happy with this being in the tournament rulebook, but right, I'm getting ahead of myself. That various people have been hinting at, that was mainly Alex Davey on the stream, they're not part of the RRG, so the rules reference update. Those things will be addressed in the forthcoming but separate tournament regulations update. Right, so there's a few different things to unpick here, which at first might not seem particularly obvious. So let's start with the rules reference update. I will start here because rules reference update is generally where we got the point changes. So in my head, I was like, oh, well, we're getting a rules reference change. We might get some point changes. Boom, I checked when the points change was. It was September, so what's that? September, October. It was early September, October, November, December, January, February. I was like, oh, 6-7 months or whatever. We've had quite a while without points changes, and people moaning about tauntauns, etc. Maybe we'll get points changes. Then I realised one sort of simple reason why that won't be the case. And whilst it perhaps will happen, it might happen after this event. So this is actually where Worlds is going to be. And I don't think right now they would change the points before Worlds. I do think immediately after Worlds, we might get some point up changes and some point updates. But I don't think they're going to do anything drastic then. However, the tournament regulations will be updated before then. So that could mix things up for that, but I don't think they're going to do tournament regulations and point updates. I think that would be crazy, but would be really interesting at the same time. So, yes, let's have a look at. I just realised I should really have this on this screen, so when I look at the screen, I'll vaguely look like I'm looking at you. So that's that. I don't think punch changes will come just yet, even though it sort of would have been imminent. I think we'll probably look at maybe changing that once every 6 months, 7 months, something like that. And I think they're going to wait for Worlds to be over. Whether or not they'll then actually update it again before next year's World, only time will tell. So the rules updates are coming. It's just unlikely to include points, I think. The next thing is, what is that rules update actually going to include? Maybe stuff for the new units. But other than that, like Iden and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be a revolutionary rules changes. I think it's just going to be rules updates. However, then we learn that that's all that's happening in the rules update. We're not getting the strength schedule versus MOV and the silhouette thing, right? Now, I do have a little bit of a problem with this, right? I didn't really mind when the points changed, and the points changed only in for competitive play and only in the rule book. If you're playing casually, you still use your cards. But what this sort of implies to me, if you're playing casually, that silhouette being in the tournament rule pack rather than, say, the rule book, implies that there's going to be sort of two different modes. That the rules as written are going to include, for most people who are just playing the game at home, you're going to have a standard casual mode, and then you're going to have the competitive mode, which I don't like the idea of having two different modes, because it's going to be in the tournament rules pack rather than the rules upgrade. Now, hopefully that's wrong, I guess as simple as I can say it as that. Hopefully it actually does go into the rules book. If you are going to change stuff like line of sight, cover, etc., I personally think that should be in the rules updates, and we all should play by the same rules. Yeah, so I have a slight concern there. It's not a massive concern. I actually am happy about that change to silhouettes. Not 100% sure how the silhouette change will work, because, you know, if you then might be able to see people who you can't see because the silhouette would have been there. Do you know what I mean? Like the sniper who's crouched down. Like, can you see him if you can't see him? Do you know? Like, that's going to be interesting to see how they phrase that and how they word that. So I'm just not happy with that being, I think, in the tournament rulebook. I think that should have been in the normal rulebook, and we should get a change to cover and line of sight, etc. If we're going to do it, and do it for everybody. But let's wait and see. I'm jumping the gun a little bit there. And then we have the stuff to the strength of schedule versus MOV. Well, it sort of sounds like MOV is the de facto choice that's going to happen here, or at least maybe you might be able to choose, the tournament organizer might be able to choose, which would be interesting in itself. I personally wanted a different system, like a completely different system, one that maybe had like, secondary objectives, the Armada style point system, whatever it was. I wanted something a little bit different rather than just MOV, because I think MOV does sort of change how the game's going to get played, because you're going to want to win, but then you're going to want to win when you want to smash your opponent, and you're going to go for kills. And I mean, it's still better than SOS for sure. For sure. But it's just not personally what I would want as an alternative MOV. I think it's a little bit too simplistic of a solution. If you're going to implement that, you could have implemented that 6, 8, 10 months ago. That's all my thoughts. So I don't think we're getting points changes. So I realise I might title this video like points changes coming. Do forgive me if that is what I've titled it as. But I think there's a specific reason why they will come, but they're not coming for the next month and a week or whatever, whenever Adepticon is. I do think we would have been due. I think if they would have planned it out on a calendar, they might say we're going to update the points. Maybe we're going to make slight changes once every 6 months, or maybe once a year. But I think once a year we'll do the bigger changes, and then once every 6 months we'll do tweaks. Because the stuff that's come out since then, really, like the Tauntauns weren't really, well, they were out, were they? It was I think they came out in August, and the rules changed in September, so they're not really going to get changed too much at that point. But you know, people aren't liking the Tauntauns. They find them a bit powerful. People say, well, actually, points changes won't change them. It actually needs an errata, and we could get an errata in the points in the rules reference guide. It could actually be things will get nerfed by rules rather than things getting nerfed in terms of points. But to me, that's just balance. That's just a different way of balancing things, and it doesn't really matter which way you really do it. As long I'm just happy if you're attempting to balance it, then I'm happy. So points, I think, are likely. So I just want to make this clear. I think points will change in the next 2 to 3 months, but it's going to be 2 to 3 months. Initially, I was like searching when the first point changes updated. I was searching if we heard any reference of how often it would be between one and the other, and I couldn't find anything. So in my head I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be then. And then a bit of me was like, because I'm not going and I'm not really that interested this year, because I have a child that will be due at the almost exact day that Adepticon is on. Adepticon's not my main focus, but Worlds will be happening there, and they're not. I don't think they're going to drastically change the game just before Worlds, otherwise you run the risk of people kicking off. So that's it. We are getting a rules reference update. I suspect there won't be anything major in it because of Worlds, but we'll have to wait and see. I am excited that the SOS stuff and the MOV stuff and the silhouette sort of sounded like Alex Davies said on the live stream that it will be 3 to 4 weeks, right? And that is before Adepticon. So it's interesting. It's interesting. For those of you wondering, I normally have purple, but when I've been doing purple, on this camera, I've been getting like a weird halo around it, around me or any of the objects that I had. That's just some terrain I'm making for the terrain channel. And it's been weird. So I've gone to this green. It is what it is. That's it. So apologise if I clickbaited you and I was like, we're going to get rules, punch, changes, updates. I think we will, just not yet. But it's, that's an interesting subject to talk about. Whereas MOV, SOS and silhouettes perhaps less so. Have a most beautiful day, though. I'm trying to find the end button. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.